You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry, ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Love Me. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Love Me is the second film I watched as part of the 2024 Sundance Online program. Love Me is a 2024 science fiction romance directed by Andy and Sam Zucchero. The film stars Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun in a romance between a satellite and a buoy. So to be honest, I actually knew pretty much nothing about this film when I decided to make the purchase and watch it during the Sundance program this year. I saw it was starring Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, obviously had something to do with love, if you saw that picture or, if you saw the title. And that was all I needed. I needed no more. So I knew nothing about satellite, knew nothing about buoy. I just clicked purchase and jumped into the film. Now, unfortunately, Love Me didn't really work for me. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Far and away, the biggest positive of this film are our two actors. It is literally a two-actor film. They are the only people who actually are in the movie, other than YouTube clips or little small clippings that they insert. They're the only performances here. And thank goodness they got these two incredible actors to at least ground the material as much as possible. Stewart is fantastic, as she always is, really giving us all the highs and lows of this performance, helping us to understand the beauties of this world and the anguish of social media. And then we have Stephen Yeun, who gives a much bigger, more expressive performance for a good portion of the film. And he really helps to ground the film down to a major core of what it's trying to say. And it's his performance, and more so than through the script, it's through his performance that we really understand that. I also think there's a lot of great material here, a lot of things that make you ponder, that make you think. Obviously, in today's day and age, it's going to feel somewhat relatable regardless. But I thought there were some interesting ideas that move past just the general, what does it mean to be a human or artificial intelligence conversations we've had about a million times at this point. But they touch on some more interesting parts of that, such as how difficult it is, no matter how great it gets, for AI to properly simulate the human experience. And then, of course, the imposter syndrome and the effects of social media. And I thought those two things combined made for a much more interesting story than the overall package we got. Because unfortunately, Love Me just never comes together as an actualized film. So let's go ahead and talk about why it didn't quite work. Well, the basis of why it just doesn't work is because it doesn't make sense. Not in this esoteric, existential, like blow your mind, doesn't make sense, not something you're going to be thinking about and pondering about and dissecting. No, no, no. At the base level of what happens in this film, it doesn't make sense. So once you start building upon that to make your point, to make your allegory, to build this entire romance and this entire idea, it's all nonsense because the base at which you start isn't there. So as you're going through and you're seeing these AI kind of like experiencing these things or doing certain things, you're just like, how? What is going on here even? And then it loses the plot on those interesting ideas that it starts with and just kind of devolves into a more superficial, surface level view of humanity and of those topics of lying, of relationships, of social media, of AI, all of that really devolves into kind of been there, done that territory by the end of it. And it starts to feel quite redundant. This film is a short hour and a half, like a 90-minute film, and yet it feels like it drags on. The dialogue doesn't really work. It doesn't open the book to the questions it wants to ask. At times, it's quite grating. There are so many other films at this point that have explored similar themes and topics to this film. Hell, including Wall-E, which deals with a romance between two robots of very different backgrounds. That film nails the robot romance and the cuteness of that. And then other films explore the AI, the what it means to be a human aspects of this film. And really, the whole romance between a buoy and a satellite is kind of just an opening gateway, not much more. And then about half of this film is animated, which makes for an interesting choice. And I actually think that transition that we go through with how they see themselves within this make-believe world is interesting. And the animation style works well for that. I just wish, as a film, it had a more clear narrative, that it had an actual base to build the house upon, figuratively, and I mean, really, you could say that literally within the film itself. Because as it is, it just kind of like trugs along. The first act, as we're trying to get associated with everything, is a bit irritating, and then it really plateaus after everything's introduced, and we're kind of just left here with the surface level script. So unfortunately, I can't say that I loved Love Me. Instead, I found it to be a little bit of a chore to get all the way through, and it just reminded me of so many other films that explored everything that's explored here much better. So once Love Me comes out and gets its distribution, I think if you're really into those meaning of life, existential films, maybe this is worth a watch on streaming at home, but it's certainly not worth a full price movie theater ticket. An interesting experiment of sorts that just kind of stops experimenting in the film itself. So that was my review for Love Me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Did you get the chance to see Love Me at the Sundance Film Festival, or are you excited to check it out? Let me know all of your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.